go on another adventure. Right, and welcome to another adventure. This time it is beyond epic because we are at the bottom of the world. We have travelled all the way from rainy Blighty to the seventh continent, the world of ice. But before I start telling you about how wondrous this place has been in our first 18 hours of being on this continent, I'm going to show you the story of how we got here, and then tell you a little bit about what it takes to even start one of these expeditions. We flew from London all the way to Santiago, 14.5-hour flights, and then we spent a day and a half in Santiago exploring, eating a lot of nice food, and taking a couple of photos. So I'm going to show you those photos now.
Summer clothes weren't a priority on the packing list, and it was hot. Despite struggling to acclimatise from British winter to Chilean summer, we did plenty of exploring, drinking and eating. Seeing as we only had one night/2 days, we decided to do the main attractions. This was the perfect opportunity to take a stroll with my Fujifilm X100 and try my hand at some street photography. Well, not sure you can call it that yet, but maybe it's just a slightly elevated tourist photography. I enjoyed the process nonetheless. We took the funicular up to see Old Mary and get a view of the city from above. I find that parks and attractions like this can provide some great opportunities for photos, despite the obvious ones of the statue which everyone takes. Heading back down for a coffee, we stumbled across preparations for some sort of carnival. Shame we were going to miss it, but we had other places to be. Like this guy and his trolley of lemons. Spending 36 hours in Santiago made me think I should spend more time exploring and photographing cities around the world.
From Santiago, we took a flight down to Punta Arenas, and then we met up with the expedition team there, had a couple of briefings, some nice food, wander around, take some photos, which I'm going to put up on the screen now while I'm still talking to you. But it was a beautiful little port city.
There were some great views flying south over the Andes at golden hour, even seeing a huge shadow behind Aconcagua, the highest peak in the Andes at 6,967 metres. The excitement started to build quickly from here. Antarctica was imminent. We had met all the other photographers and started exploring what Punta Arenas had to offer.
Doggy. Now, a lot of the expeditions don't actually start on the ship from either Ushuaia or Punta Arenas anymore because of the docking costs being way too expensive. So, our trip was actually to go on a plane, a chartered plane from Punta Arenas, and land on the gravel runway at King George Island. Bit of a bumpy landing, but the flight wasn't too long. It was just over 2 hours, but when we got there it was get out of the plane directly onto a little minibus which took us down to the shoreline, then onto one of the military grade Kevlar Zodiac boats, which then whisked us off onto our cruise ship, which you might be able to see in the background. I can never see on this thing. Where is it? Where is it? I found it. It's there. And that is our ship, the Greg Mortimer. Following on from all of that was a load of briefings, safety briefings, lifeboat drills, how we should operate on the zodiacs, what we can and can't do when we're visiting the land here, which is very important. There's a lot of rules to try and keep Antarctica as pristine as possible. But we're right at the start of our Antarctic journey. This is our first landing. It's my first 10 minutes actually setting foot on Moon Island. So we're going to have a little bit of an explore and take a lot of photos. Because up there, penguins.
We would start our days on the ship outside, usually on the upper decks, wrapped up warm taking photos. The FOMO giving us the motivation to take in and capture the incredible scenery as we travel to our next port call. And all of this happens before the breakfast buffet opens. Luckily there's a 24-hour coffee machine. Back to Half Moon Island though, my first experience being face to face with wildlife in their natural environment. It just hits different when they're not behind a glass wall at a zoo. Just getting on with their daily routine, which for the seals mainly consisted of lazing around. Now I'm no wildlife photographer, not yet anyway, but hopefully you'll see my photography gets better as we progress through this expedition. Not sure I can say the same about my wildlife videography though, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Shooting whilst on a landing I initially found very challenging. I am used to throwing my bag on the ground or in the back of a car, constantly swapping lenses and gear and just running around like a toddler on sugar taking photos. Antarctica is a very different experience. You can't put anything down on the ground, you can't kneel or squat. You can't take off your life jacket. You have to stay in areas defined by the expedition team and not stray. That last point makes perfect sense though, to not disrupt the environment and the wildlife. But the other points made this first landing very, very challenging. I knew what to expect, but not how difficult it would make the process of shooting and how much I let it hold me back mentally.
Welcome to the second full day, and today we were meant to have a little landing at a place called Astrolabe Island, or Astrolabe. It looked amazing. It was going to be more landscape orientated, but the swell was too big, so we couldn't get off the boat, unfortunately. So we sailed further south, sailed past some beautiful icebergs, the first sort of big icebergs we're getting to as we travel further south. So I'm going to show you some photos of those. And we are actually landed on Mikkelsen Harbour. Or actually, it's meant to be called Shittelsen Harbour because literally it is covered in penguin poop. There's a Gen 2 colony here. And actually, on the way in, on the boat, we went around this little iceberg with I think it's a wattle seal. I mean, I'm not a wildlife photographer, but a wattle seal just sat there. Got some amazing photos and some footage. So I'm going to put some of that together now. I'm going to take some more photos of some more penguins, these Gen 2s, and then I'm going to head over the other side of the island because it's a little red hut.
Continuing my world-class form of not being able to pronounce things correctly, it was a Weddell seal, named after the Weddell Sea, which in turn was named after the British sailor Captain James Weddell.
Okay, I finally think I'm starting to get a hang of some of this wildlife photography stuff. And yeah, this is great. So behind me here, there is this sort of ledge. This is at the top of the island. And I've just been isolating a few of the penguins up there with maybe some of the snow in the background. Yeah, the snow in the background. As well as just trying to get environmental shots of wildlife because I feel that's kind of like a landscapey shot. But I'm working on that, and I'm also working on the red hut down there, which looks really cool, I'm not going to lie. But at the moment I can't think of anything other than a central composition with the hut surrounded by penguins. So yeah, This place is cool, and I think it's sort of just ignited my trip. You know when you get that first banger on a trip and you go, yes, let's go. I think I'm at that point now, which feels fantastic.
The weather can change quickly down here, and these shots from our morning sail around Astrolabe towards Mikkelsen Harbour show that. Sometimes lots of clouds, sometimes blue sky. Those last two shots are infrared, by the way. But onto the penguins. Half moon the day before was 99% chinstrap penguins, probably my least favourite of the three penguin species we encountered. That sounds a bit harsh. In bronze medal position, chinstrap. In silver medal position, we have the Gentoo penguins, probably because they fit the penguin stereotype a bit better with their orange beaks. They are the third largest penguin species and the biggest that we would encounter on our expedition. They are very photogenic, if you can find one that doesn't have regurgitated fish and shit all down its front. I was predominantly using my 100 to 400 lens on this landing, focusing on wildlife portraits. I couldn't resist sneaking in a background mountain every now and then, though. I finally started to relax and enjoy my photography on this morning landing, getting to grips with restrictions to my usual scattergun workflow.
What was that? What was that? That was amazing. Niels, our Norwegian Zodiac driver. He was taking us back to the seal again. Just that waddle seal. We were taking some photos of that, and we were just heading back, and he sees in the distance something happening. And I think it was a swarm of birds, seabirds, coming down to try and get some food out of the water. Why were they doing that? Because there was 3 or 4 humpback whales feeding just in the bay that we were in. Most of the Zodiacs had gone back, and it was just us. There was literally 8 of us in this Zodiac. We went, and it was the most amazing thing to witness. I just can't believe what I just saw. Humpbacks feeding right in front of my eyes. Here's some of the photos. I didn't take any B-roll. Sorry. So good.
This footage from back on the ship is horrific, but the photos tell the story. This was raw nature. I was right there, not on a sofa watching a documentary, on a tiny boat next to a massive, majestic sea mammal. This was real, very real.
Decided to get up for a sunrise, and well, it looks quite nice. But checking the maps on the TV, because we can do that in here. We're not too close to land, so we're going to go up anyway and have a look at what it looks like. The sun comes up in 10 minutes it'll be above the horizon, but the horizon is blocked by mountains. Maybe we'll get some of those colour and some icebergs if any float past. But as you can see, I've had about 4 hours sleep, and I reckon that's the average over the last 3 nights, because we're in Antarctica and my eyes are so puffy. Anyway, if there's any good photos from the sunrise this morning, I'll show you them. And then we've got 2 planned Zodiac outings today.
Sunrise was worth it. Golden hour colours bouncing off the glaciers, whales doing their thing, icebergs and layers of Antarctic ice and rock. After breakfast though, it was time for our first Zodiac cruise. No landing here. We went to go see the Cuverville wreck, a whaling factory ship that ran aground in 1915 after a fire broke out during a celebration. The captain beached the ship to allow the crew to escape. 111 years later, and I'm photographing a turn on a rusty chimney stack. It was a beautiful sunny morning, which made sitting in the zodiac for a few hours easier. There were fur seals, penguins, shags, whales, shipwrecks, icebergs and brash ice. So much to photograph. Getting down to sea level to take shots was great fun, easily creating depth for the wildlife or iceberg shots. Floating around taking photos, what a dream. We were quickly falling in love with Antarctica. But we heard some cryptic radio messages being sent to our zodiac driver. Something was going on, and we were about to find out.
Step on the marina, go to a zodiac, and then you jump off a zodiac, and from there you'll pull yourself up.
I love it. It's going to be cold. And then jump, yeah? All right. For Frodo!
The camera didn't go underwater though, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, I'm good there. That is cold. Super cold. Hey, what's this?
Yes, it was cold. That's the most picturesque jump into the sea I think I'll ever do. And to follow it up with a beer, in a hot tub, surrounded by glaciers and whales in the sunshine, just wow.
So good. Oh, that's his steady shots off, you little bastard.
That's evil. That'll be it.
We're now on our afternoon outing, and we've got to probably what is, for me, the best place yet. It's called Scontorp Cove, and behind me is one of the expedition crew doing push-ups on a zodiac. But also this amazing glacier, and around that corner some little red huts. I'm not sure about the story of them. I'm going to find that out and maybe tell you about it, but I think this, for me and for landscape, is going to be one of the best locations we've been to date. Oh, I can't wait for this.
Unfortunately, no landing, just a cruise. But what a place. Scontorp Cove is actually a part of Paradise Bay and is the home of Brown Station, an Argentine base and scientific research station. It's surrounded by tall mountains and lots of icebergs and brash ice, with probably one of the coolest icebergs we saw on this trip.
So hard to hold that still.
Oh, it's impossible.
Trying to film with a normal camera in a Zodiac is very difficult, as you can well see. This iceberg is easily in my top 5 icebergs. It's such a beast. There's so much going on, and the moody light that afternoon was photography heaven. We had everything: bergs, abstracts, huts and wildlife.
Squint hard enough, the biggest blue hole right in front of me.
Yeah,
Kind of looks like a...
it does. It does.
With a vivid imagination, I can accept that.
After every outing, most of us congregated on the top decks to enjoy the views, talk about what we saw and obviously take more photos. But the day had yet another incredible surprise in store for us.
Just look at this place. Oh my days. We were the most incredible sort of sunset cruise. We were unlucky enough to not quite get out in the Zodiacs to sail around this beautiful sort of harbour area, but it's been some amazing reflections. The sky is just lit up pink. There's been loads of whales out here. Everyone's just shouting whale, running from side to side on the boat. But oh my god, the blues, the pinks, the reflections we've had. I've done some abstract. Back down here, you can't see past the hot tub, but the water was so still, and I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, I think it's a life-changing experience, this place. Just drink that in for a second. Fucking unbelievable.
I'm not sure words can describe this experience. I'm very sure the photos and video don't do it justice at all. This sunset has become a core memory. I'll never forget the stillness, the raw nature, the colours, the ice, the people I was with, the reflections, the clouds, the laughs, the wonderment. I spent a good while looking down off the side of the ship as it very slowly ambled through the brash ice, the small forward movement creating ripples, the engine vibrating the nearby chunks of ice. The lower the sun got, the more the pastel hues were filling the sky and reflecting off the ice. We saw whales in the distance, huge icebergs, epic mountains. I wondered if we would get a colour palette like this, and we did. We were super lucky to be in the right place at the right time.
I start recording right next to these big vents. What an idiot. Right, let's move. Another day, another sunrise. And what a morning. It's clear again, clear skies-ish. We are driving towards some sort of front, which, oh, that's starting to light up purple on the edges now. That really low cloud. I was just going to tell you a little bit about this place. Those peaks are lighting up as well. Okay, they're going to be really quick. I've had about 5 hours sleep, which is more than I've had over the last 4 nights doing sunset, sunrise here in Antarctica. But again, it is another absolutely beautiful sunrise with beautiful colours. And we've been waiting for sun to hit some of these peaks. It hit that one in the back about 25 minutes ago, but we just could not get the perspective of how tall that mountain was compared to all of these other tiny little ones here. The scale of this place is incredible. Right, sorry, I'm going to go and take some photos, but I won't run because it's very icy on deck. Go, 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 go!
Let's talk about the scale of Antarctica. It's very hard to show in a photograph or video. Even that B-roll of me talking about how big that mountain was, it looks small. It's so hard to portray. Icebergs can be the size of castles, even towns and cities, but in the distance they look like an ice cube. It's hard to even say how far you are away from land when you're at sea. Am I miles away? And that mountain range is huge, or close and it's small? Without something for scale, I found myself focusing more on patterns and light versus shadow when it came to landscapes, and failing that, I would stop looking out to sea and shoot what was on the boat instead. With sunrise done, it was time for the Lemaire Channel, a small sheltered waterway with steep mountainsides, and I had decided to take it easy for once.
You know what? Sod it. I thought, let's just not take photos for half an hour, sit in the hot tub as we're going through this crazy strait. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of great photos here, but sometimes you just got to warm up and decompress. How many people can say they've had a hot tub right next to a glacier? Not many.
Best way to shoot B-roll, mate.
I have just found
the photography hack. So, this is how it goes. You sit in the hot tub until you are nice and toasty. And then when you see something that you want to shoot, jump out, grab your camera. Although we're in the Antarctic, you'll stay warm for at least 5 minutes, take a few shots, jump straight back in the hot tub. This is landscape photography living right here. Yes!
Every now and then, you see another cruise ship, and you can use it for scale, like I did in this beautiful panorama.
Well, the pre-breakfast hot tub has been completed and I've had breakfast. It's time for a landing. And this is Petermann Island. Oh, you just can't see it now because it's just gone behind a rock. But around here, this beautiful little red hut. I'm not sure why it's there or what it's doing, but it looks fantastic. So shortly, we'll be heading out in the Zodiacs, whizzing across, landing on that island over there. Going to take some photos. There'll be some penguins, but mostly I'm looking for a little bit of landscape, probably featuring that red hut. Petermann Island, we are on it. And unusually for Antarctica, as I slip into a slight crevasse on the snow, it is super warm. Super warm. We've got the red hut down behind, but the ship was behind it from probably where everyone is currently shooting it down there and where I'm going to head to. Yeah, and the captain kindly moved the ship out of the way from the background so we can get a nice clean shot. That is a photography tour for you. It's amazing now. Lots of penguins. Stinks of shit. Nice.
Taking selfies when there's an island with 100 photographers on. Yeah.
The Petermann Island hut is actually an Argentine refuge shelter which was built back in 1955. I mentioned heat, and this wasn't a problem I thought we were going to have in Antarctica, but we were all overheating. Blue skies with the sun reflecting off the ice made it difficult to not just keep cool, but to photograph as well. Before this trip, I was definitely one of those golden hour hunters, a hater of blue skies. But the more time I spent photographed during the day, the more I realised I just loved taking photos. And the reason I didn't like blue skies as much is because I didn't know what or how to photograph them well. You can probably see that the main colour palette of Antarctica is blue. Blue sea, blue sky, blue ice, blue dabba-dee-dabba-die. There is a distinct lack of colour variations, which at first I found difficult, but the more I shot, the better I got.
It's afternoon, we've had barbecue and beers on the top deck, and straight after, we're at another island, which I'll put the name up here because everything's happening so quickly. It's amazing. I can't remember what she said it was called. But we've got Adelie penguins. And they look so cool. They look like Pokemon to me. And after this, shortly, we're going to be heading out on the Zodiacs and just look how many icebergs. It's like an iceberg graveyard. Antarctica is just something else. So raw. But at the same time, crazy little penguins just jumping about.
The Adelies quickly became my favourite of the three species we encountered. Not only do they look really cute, but they were by far the most active. The way they just dive on the floor and scoot about on their bellies was so fun to watch. I'm all for things that make life easier, and if I could do that for my commute to the office in London, I definitely would. They were very social too, wandering the island in gangs, jumping up and down rocks. As this was a split landing zodiac, we had less time on land and soon we were back on the water again. And I was excited for more icebergs. More excited for them than I was the penguins, to be fair. The sea being sheltered here by the outer islands, there's less current and becomes a place where icebergs go to die. An iceberg graveyard. There was even one that looked like a dragon's head. Despite all the castle-sized bergs, the shot everyone was after was the penguin on an iceberg. It's the cherry on top of an Antarctic photo collection, and it wasn't long until we got our first opportunity. A pair of Adelis on some black ice, mountains in the background showing vast landscape. From there, we went to go see another seal. I'm not sure why or how, but the iceberg was rocking up and down quite a lot. It didn't make the photography any easier, but it was awesome to watch. The clouds very lightly covered the sun, softening the light, and with a bit of backlighting, the scene was complete. But we were not done there. We explored more icebergs until we came across another Adelie on top of one. The berg being more of a regular ice than the black ice. Surrounded by other icebergs, the conditions were perfect. I started off zoomed in, doing more environmental portraits. But when I whopped out the wide-angle lens, one I didn't use a great deal in Antarctica, I got an amazing shot. But you'll have to wait until later in this video to see this one.
Time to go set foot on the actual continent.
We're moving.
Check me out. All right. Yeah, a little bit.
Have a wonderful Continental day.
So the continent is what, over there, yeah? Yeah.
If you get behind me there, Jeremy Clarkson, he is so he's 50 and
This is making great video, by the way.
You think he knew where we could use his camera?
Yeah, it's a bumpy ride. As you can tell, trying to go relatively quick as well, so there was a bit short. Three left, into four right, long, four into up, over left. You're too good at that, mate. I'm suspicious.
And that's it. We've set foot onto a lot of granite on the Antarctic continent. No longer have we just explored the islands, we're exploring a place that even the expedition team have never been able to land at before. So it's a first for everyone here, landing at Cape Tuxen. Isn't it great? It was an unexpected post-dinner surprise to have a brief 15 minutes standing on the continent. We'd finally made it. There was no sea between us and the South Pole, just 2,750 kilometers of ice and rock as the crow flies. I'm going to do this like a presentation this morning. This is our ship, and it's zoomed in, zoomed out, so we can't see where we're going. But we get this in our room, it's fantastic. Tells us exactly where we are. But we're going to the, what's it called?
Argentinian
research base. There's some bases and a load of islands. And today, as you can see off our balcony, it is very grey and it's actually snowing. Finally, a little bit of snow. Looks like it's going to be a zodiac cruise. So we're just going to pack the cameras, wrap up warm, head out. And finally, a little bit of snow. Yeah, I can't wait. Cannot wait. Oh, it's back. It's back. There you go. That's where we are. These islands here. That's what we're going to go and explore.
landing this morning in the snow. And we're at Wordie House, which is behind me. Gonna pop in there in a minute. But it's part of the old British, I think, aerial survey. We've just come past the old Faraday station, which is now the Ukrainian station that we sold back to them for £1 so they could have their own Antarctic research area, and that's behind me over there right now. We're just having a cool little explore. Going to take some photos and get a little bit of history today in the snow. So cool. Osram bulbs, bloody hell. Oh wow. Look at all the old provisions. Oh, sick food. London. Let's bring you some quality coffee. Breathing apparatus. Yeah, plus a belt is just fastened. Yeah, I love it. Just the details in this. Yeah. Ovaltine. Yeah. A bit of Ovaltine.
Brilliant.
Tea. Chivers mashed potato. Bovril. Oh, a whole pack of Bovril. After an amazing morning, going around some pretty cool icebergs, saw one calf. Then there was the fog finally lifted and there was some beautiful mood around the mountains, which is on the other side of the boat, port or starboard, I can never remember which. I think it's port. And what a great morning out on the Zodiacs. I'm going to show you some of those photos in just a second. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing this afternoon. So we are heading out, I think, over to sort of that way. There's an island over there. So it's going to be a split. Some of us will land, some of us will Zodiac cruise, and then we'll do a little switcheroo after about an hour or so. But I've just been told this is a great location to take a tripod and get some of these epic mountains which are on whatever side of the boat that is over there. So I'm excited for this actually. I'm going to take some ND filters with me just in case there's a bit of sea and a bit of stuff I can do with that. Let's go. And I'll show you the photos from this morning and then we'll switch straight into the afternoon cruise.
Wordie House was originally established in 1935, but that potentially got destroyed by a tsunami. It then got rebuilt in 1947, and in the early 50s it was used as a meteorological station. A lot of the stuff you see here hasn't been moved in over 70 years since it ceased operations in around 1954. We only had 5-10 minutes in the house and it was back on the Zodiacs to cruise around the icebergs. First stopping around Vernadsky station, which used to be the British Faraday station until we sold it to Ukraine in 1996 for £1 so they could have a base in Antarctica. I can't imagine what it's like living and working down here surrounded by ice and penguins. We then headed out towards the bigger bergs when something happened that reminded us that this was an expedition with real risks, not just a day trip.
We're no longer together. Did anyone get it?
Nothing's happened to this video yet, apart from me cleaning the lens twice.
I'm not looking at the really big part. Yeah.
Oh, the other side's gone.
You can't just the tallest peaks. It's more like
Multiple parts of this huge iceberg carved off into the sea. I managed to catch a photo at least. It all happened so fast. Adrenaline spike and we were more awake than we had been for days. A reminder not to get too close to icebergs. The danger of carving or flipping is very real, and you don't want to be anywhere near them when they do. Nonetheless, against the snow and the grey skies, they make awesome subjects. When the clouds start to clear a little, the light was perfect for some abstracts and helped with the fast shutter speed to include some of the seabirds too. We were meant to land this afternoon, but unfortunately due to the wildlife being all over the landing site, we were restricted to a zodiac cruise. A bit disappointed as I was ready for some serious landscape photography. Luckily though, I got into a zodiac with Mass and we did check out some of the wildlife, but we spent a lot of time focusing on bergs and mountains. And what a set of rocks they were. With the moody sky it was perfect, despite me accidentally knocking off my polarizing filter into the sea. RIP Nissi Jetmag Pro's CPL. I got some of my favourite photos here. Moody mountains, an Arctic tern, and finally a porpoising penguin mid-porpoise, which is very difficult to get. I'll show you later on in the video just how difficult.
I have no idea where we are, and it is still snowing. But see some mountains somewhere in the distance. And breakfast is at 6:30, which is right now, but we've been up for an hour because there's a pod of orcas, like chasing a whale with their orca baby right next to the boat. And it was insane. They came so close. I had the 100 to 400 on, and they were literally like, let's just say this is me here. They were there, right, like literally right there, way too close. But photos of those guys just hanging about in the snow. Oh, so good. It was so good. I'm going to show you those photos now. I'm going to go and have some breakfast. I need to back up my photos. I need to charge some batteries. And then we're going out again. So full on, there's so much happening. But we got orcas.
At that time in the morning, half awake, half in pyjamas, I was not ready for the challenge of shooting wildlife in low light, in a snowstorm, on a moving ship. Focusing was a nightmare. Predicting where they were going to pop up with the morning brain fog, impossible. So these photos are shite, but it was more about the experience. All of us half awake, cameras in hand, in awe of what we were witnessing, whilst at the same time wondering whether to attend the omelette station or stick to some fruit for breakfast.
So, what's this medal, you ask? Well, I won the Photo of the Day competition, which we've been running on board yesterday. This gives me some privileges to skip the lunch queues and potentially have a hot tub with Nigel Danson, but I haven't seen anybody take up that offer just yet. Nonetheless, there was a photo from yesterday. I'm going to show you the one that won now.
Not only did it win Photo of the Day, but eventually Photo of the Trip, which was a real honour. I knew I wanted to get some iceberg bottoms using a polarising filter, but to get the opportunity with an Adelie penguin on top, just wow. Shot at 16mm, we spent a good 5 minutes going back and forth in the Zodiac, and when this legend of a penguin was in the middle of the iceberg, and his or her arms, or I guess wings, went up, I pressed the shutter, I knew I was onto a winner. Anyway, back to me rambling on my balcony.
Unfortunately, I've got some bad news, is that we are probably having our last landing today over there. It's a colony of about 10,000 penguins, and I can smell it from here, even though it's miles away. But yeah, due to the Drake Passage and a couple of storms passing through there, and the swells being up to 4 or 5 meters potentially, we might have to go back a bit early. So I think we're doing a landing this morning, and then we're just going to balk it up towards the Drake Passage to get across before the storm, cutting things off a day early. But I'm not sure what that means for the future of the trip and what else we will be doing or what we will be seeing and sailing around. We shall see. But right now, I'm about to put my mud boots on and get out and take some more photos.
Listening to the expedition and photography leads talk later on in the trip about what goes into planning an expedition of this scale, I was taken aback. There were so many spots planned that we never made it to. There are so many factors that have to align. Weather, swell, if the wildlife block the landing site, what other boats are in the area, how many people there are. Most sites have a max limit of 100 people, some 60, hence the split cruise and landings we had. How many people have been in the last 24 hours from other cruises to minimise the impact on the environment? If an iceberg blocks our sailing route, which happened to us when we tried to get back up the Lemaire Channel one day. Hats off to all the work they put in to give us such an incredible experience. But back to Cuverville Island, and having spent some time videoing and photographing at one end of the shoreline, taking some more Gen 2 portraits, a lot of us ended up with our feet in the sea, trying to capture the penguins that were swimming close to the shore.
So I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Greg, who's lent me a polarizer today because mine is in the bottom of the ocean and it's got me some really good shots.
The penguins don't seem to be too fazed by our presence. It was difficult getting around as we were trying to keep our distance, but they just kept wandering around wherever they liked, just doing their thing. Swimming out to get food, preening, or just standing about. Presumably, people watching, wondering what all these humans are up to.
So for our last landing, it has been one of the largest Gen 2 penguin colonies in the world, with over 10,000 penguins here. But I think now it's time to go back to the ship. And I think this might be our last landing, but I've got some really cool photos out in the icebergs with porpoising penguins, penguins under the water. I've got some nice portraits, and earlier on I was just taking some lovely video, so I'm going to show you some B-roll and then jump into some of the photos. And I'm going to go and get this soggy Antarctic foot dried off. Seems to be like a swimming path for them at the moment, right?
No, they've been doing it for quite a while. So I was originally shooting them top down here, and then I was like, I'm going to just go for it. It's that time.
We just what? Sheepville? Okay, well, when it comes in, I'm just going to dip the 360 in and off we go.
Engine or rock? To that, you need that. Have you that? Are you wearing your medal here?
Despite Nigel thinking a 360 camera would work, you probably need someone who knows what they are doing with it, actually holding it. I didn't, and the underwater shots didn't work out for me, hence I turned my attention to getting some porpoising penguin video. These Gen 2 move fast. So fast, in fact, they are the fastest swimmers of all penguins and can reach speeds of up to 36 kilometers an hour. When they porpoise, they are out of the water for a split second, and then back under again. It's so hard to know when and where they will pop back up again. Trying to shoot with a high shutter speed, track the penguins while zoomed in and get a good shot is very, very difficult. You can see from these videos, which are slowed down to more than half speed, how quick they are. Now take a look at these videos at normal speed, and you can see how hard it is. It's incredibly difficult. But these photos are well worth the struggle. Porpoising penguins surrounded by icebergs and swimming underwater are great environment wildlife shots. We even got to see one more fur seal on the way back to the ship before spotting yet some more whales, which I finally managed to film diving.
Unfortunately, after our morning landing, we are heading back up across the Drake Passage because there is a storm incoming, and you probably can't tell on this wider video that I'm struggling to stand on the top deck.
Please be really, really, really careful with doors, okay? The doors on ships are heavy, especially the doors going to the outside of the ship. I'm sure you've all noticed.
I know it's always a bit disappointing to have to leave early, but I think we can all agree we've had a pretty epic trip. We've seen a lot.
Currently in like 3 to 3.5 meter swells. This deck was full of photographers this morning, and now it is a ghost town. Luckily, I'm feeling all right. I'm drinking ginger tea. I am making sure I'm well hydrated, trying not to get seasickness. But maybe you can see the horizon line behind me bobbing up and down as we go through the swells. But maybe we'll get some seabirds for the next couple of days. 2 days we've got to go through this 3 meter swell. And when we get to the other side, we might have a day and a half or so just cruising, having some lectures, and hopefully having a bit of a good time with the cameras again when we go to Patagonia. But I think I'm just finally going to have some rest, and it's all over the place. Have some rest and try and not be sick. Tony on the open sea, over and out.
For the next couple of days, about half the expedition were locked away in their cabins feeling seasick, as was Kaz, unfortunately. The rest of us who could cope just drank coffees, enjoyed sunsets on the open sea, and carried on trying to take photos. We had a deck tour, which was really interesting as well, just seeing how the ship worked and how the crew operated it. It was a time to reflect briefly on our Antarctic experience and maybe even look at some of the photos we'd taken. The programme of landings, zodiac cruises, lectures, meetings and meals was enjoyably relentless. But some time to recharge, albeit in 5 meter swells, was very much welcome.
Last full day on the ship, and we've made it to Argentina. We've made it across the Drake Passage, and I haven't been sick once. How good is that? Can't say that for Kaz or some of the rest of the photography team or expeditioners, but we're here, and as you can see, we have land. Oh, it's getting windy. Try and find somewhere without lots of wind to try and talk to you. All right, it's windier on this side. Windy, innit? Okay, maybe here I'm out of the wind. But we are shooting some wildlife again this morning. There's some dolphins. People have seen seals. There's plenty of albatross and petrel, big seabirds. And we are just having our last full day shooting some wildlife, and we're going to head into the Beagle Channel, hopefully get some really nice photos, the mountains and stuff out there. But there's a distinct lack of ice and icebergs for my liking up here. Bit gutted that we're out of Antarctica now, but this is the last stretch on the cruise before we head to Ushuaia. So going to spend the day doing some lectures, taking some photos and eating a lot of very nice food, maybe having a few beers and cocktails with the rest of the team here. Oh well, I'm going to go for breakfast. Tired, very tired.
literally just playing off the bow. It's amazing. Just in awe of everything around here at the moment. Wildlife photography is... Oh, and then no. And oh no. It hasn't gone in the right position. Oh, I'm out of focus. Oh, it's out of frame. Oh, I've just got the tail. Mountains don't move. Much easier.
Before we knew it, the end of the trip was becoming all too real. The ship needs a pilot to come aboard and help navigate us through the Beagle into the port of Ushuaia, hence this yellow boat. Nonetheless, we had the dolphins and albatross to keep us occupied before it got to a time that was socially acceptable to start on the beers. Those albatross are absolutely massive though, the wandering type with wingspans up to 3 meters. That's more than 2.5 Tonys. By the evening, I was at the captain's farewell beers and the celebrations of the Antarctic photography expedition were very well underway. We floated at a walking pace into the dock in Ushuaia, slightly drunk, with the melancholy that accompanies the end of an epic adventure slowly starting to sink in.
Well, land. We've docked in Ushuaia. This isn't quite the end of the video. We are going to disembark this morning. We're going on another adventure to Patagonia. It's going to be the next video, but just a little sad that we're out of Antarctica. Probably even more sad that we're going to be leaving all of the amazing crew, photography leads, and just guests on this adventure that we've been on and shared together. Really, really sad. So, yeah, I can't describe what it's like just yet. I think I need some time to reflect, so future Tony will come back. Maybe after I've shown you a couple of pictures from what looks like an unbelievably beautiful Ushuaia.
It was a morning of unwanted goodbyes and see you laters, only broken by trying out some street photography, having learned some new perspectives from Roman Fox on board the ship. In fact, I'd learnt so much from all the photography leads and the guests. By the afternoon, we were in the airport, ready for another adventure in Patagonia.
Penguin check, penguin mic check. So I've been back home for 3 weeks and I still don't really know what to say, but I'm going to break it down into sort of 3 final thoughts. First, to be able to go to Antarctica in the first place is an extreme privilege. We kept saying it was for once in a lifetime trip, and for the most who make it there, it definitely would be. But I so want to go back there, the allure of the raw nature and the tranquility, and it's just so immense. There's another trip going on in 2028, which will unfortunately likely not be able to make work for us, which saddens me, but then I feel guilty for feeling sad that I'll likely not go again, given the privilege of being able to go once anyway. My hope is that the images and content I've taken can go some way to showing you how beautiful, but also how fragile the ecosystem is, and at least invoke thoughts on what we can all do to preserve it. My second point is that Antarctica is wild. I've been lucky enough to photograph lots of beautiful places, but most of these are relatively close to some sort of civilization safety net. It's not the case with Antarctica. Civilization is what we had on the ship, and that is it. It's a true adventure through unspoiled nature. There's no handrails, no paths, no signs, no maps saying you are here. The risks and dangers, although they're minimized by careful planning and experienced and skilled crew, are real. Perhaps now I've tasted the thrill of true adventure and it's over is why I'm so down about not being able to go back to the real world, go back to that, as per my last email, passive-aggressive daily grind. Let's talk about photography. My final point is, trips like this, we get to spend a lot of time with professionals and guests with all the same passion for taking photos. You get to learn a lot of practical lessons, but it wasn't the practical lessons that I returned value in the most. It's the conversations with the people I've met. So James Popsis, for example, asked me if I like shooting in blue skies. I said no, but I think I was just looking at it all wrong. We also spoke about projects, and up until now I've been so focused on just going to beautiful places for the experience, but also to stack my portfolio. But I thought very little as to why I'm taking those photos, and a project could focus my work. I also spoke to Rick Bebbington about the work he's doing and how his approach to photography has changed. It was a light bulb moment for me, it really was, and I've perhaps been going about photography all wrong, taking photo for beauty's sake rather than maybe an artistic sake, taking them as individual shots rather than this whole sort of thought process of projects and arts and what the viewer is going to get out of it. Travelling to far off lands just to enjoy photography is not an economically viable strategy for most, and at least not for me, and I think something needs to change, but yeah. So you'll get a video from Patagonia next where I'll be carrying on my adventures, and after that, who knows? There's some more deep thinking to be done on my side, and I'll guess you'll get to see my photography journey continue to evolve after the Patagonia video. But it's time for me to go and sell some of those lenses I'm not going to use anymore, so see you later.